All right, welcome everybody to the final day of Is50A. We have Austin Stragons here, and I think it's Hazelton. Did you work with him on this one?
Yeah, it was him.
Okay, let me unmute Hazelton as well.
Yo.
Okay. All right, so why don't you explain to me what you guys did and take it away.
Alright, so starting with me, you want me to start Hazelton? Because you did some really cool stuff too.
Sure. Yeah, take it away.
Okay, so the first one, obviously I'm running super fast. I changed all the classes if you guys would like to see the code afterwards. But that was too simplistic for me, and I felt like I wanted to do more because this is yours, you know? Like, this is your code. Like, so we wanted to go through the code and figure it out. So obviously I'm flying through. I have a nail gun, but I'm a sniper. Shouldn't have one. But watch, look here. This is the fun part.
Kick back. Okay. You're hitting the balcony above you. And I still don't know why the sprite's missing on the firing of the nail gun.
I can't even run.
Yeah.
My speed's at like 560 or something, but I can't run. And then it registers as -2, and then oh wait, no.
Yeah, you need to fix that.
I think it's supposed to connect to a local host, huh? So I start as Team 1 Scout. Oh no, it's still working. So this is just like my main one, as well as the classes. I just thought this was fun.
Mm-hmm.
We tried getting the blood splat thing to work, and just I couldn't get it to work, and you really couldn't either. But I just thought it was kind of fun, you know, to have this. I still think that's fun, just to have this like complete like Gatling gun of a nail gun,
Mm-hmm.
and then kind of flying through the map. Hazelton, I think you have yours at like 900, right? So you're literally flying.
Oh, yeah. For the scout.
Did you modify the graphical settings at all?
The what?
The graphical settings look a little bit different on yours than on mine.
Oh yeah, so sorry. I should probably explain that. I went to mods back, before, and I enabled the like full Quake mod. So that would be why. Maybe I should have left it alone. I don't know why I did that. I was just messing around with it, and all of a sudden everything changed. So.
Yeah, I see. There's like normal maps, and here, look at the water.
Oh yeah, and I even tried trying to do water splash, and then I thought I could apply that to everything like a grenade, you know.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Like say that splashed everywhere, but I couldn't get that to compile either, unfortunately. But I wanted it to. My main objective was to get this working, which I got, and to change the classes up. I kind of wanted to make everyone meta, so that every group, I don't know, maybe that's a bad idea. But then, and then my third one was like rainbow blood, basically, where I wanted to make the blood splats and then make the velocity of them ridiculous, and then turn it into just, instead of 75 as like, I believe that's the RGB color for red, I wanted to make it like random times like 300 or 256 and make it just, and copy and paste that code like 4 or 5 other times, maybe even, and just kind of make it this complete crazy thing,
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately I couldn't get a compile.
No worries. All right, Hazelton, you want to talk about your mod?
Oh, you want me to show everything?
Yeah, go ahead and share your screen.
Okay. Let's see. All right, let me know if you can see that.
Oh, we can see it. Oh, I should have went through my code. Sorry.
The fire. So, let's see, where is it?
Then you want to show your axe.
Yeah. Axe.
Okay, so what did you do, Hazelton?
So I changed the axe so that it shoots fireballs out of it.
Okay.
Apparently, it's from the Hell Knight.
Mm.
I didn't get to see this boss, but it's from the Hell Knight boss.
Mm.
Let's see, where is it? It would change this function. The axe spikes. Yeah, it's this function. So it takes from the class Night Spike. Like, apparently, it just throws like fireballs out. Um, let's see. I can show you guys real quick. So you just wield the axe, and then it just shoots fireballs out. It's pretty cool.
I love that one.
That's awesome.
And I guess it's random. Like sometimes it's like 5 or 6, and then sometimes it's just one.
But we couldn't spawn bots, so like it was hard to do a blood splat or to see if the flames did damage. So we had to see through the code.
Yeah, you can have your friend connect and then hit them, or you can connect twice yourself.
Oh, Hazelton, we should have done that. I should have launched this.
Yeah.
All right, very cool, very cool. I like it. It's pretty.
Thank you. It
Doesn't
also
hit.
works to open the door, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. You just say, I had to change it. It was from the website that you linked the other day. We had to
Yeah.
change some things around because some of the functions like weren't there. So
We had to change a lot.
like
actually.
launch for Austin's
Yours is commented out for mine.
yeah, for your what is it, the nail gun?
Yeah, it's a W_super fire spikes.
Yeah, you had to change a lot of functions for that one because it just wouldn't compile at all. Super spikes. So the self punch angle thing didn't work for some reason. And I found out that kick player is the same thing.
Mhm.
So you just kick player -2 self.
And you have to define everything with the pound sign.
Yeah, and also I don't know why the pound sign has to be there, but it has to be there.
It's part of the Quake C language.
Oh,
So whenever when you have a hashtag defined, you have to have a hashtag on the thing that's defined. It's just
It's like a global variable.
it's how they do global variables. Yeah.
oh,
And it's just part of the language. Technically, it's part of the preprocessor, the Quake C preprocessor,
gotcha.
which is
Okay.
its own thing. It's like C, slightly different though.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then let's see. And then this one was really fun to add. Change the velocity so you're actually kicked back when you fire.
Mhm.
I think that's part of the kick player too.
Yeah, if you go to 500, it gets to the point where, yeah. So 300 was a good one.
So Spraggins, you just took that and changed 300 to 500.
Oh, no, mine's 300. Like, we were just doing it together, so
Gotcha.
we both have kind of similar stuff.
Gotcha. All right.
Because it was kind of difficult to learn this and then change the code around and figure out what goes where. So it was good to team up so we were both able to accomplish it.
Yeah, normally I have students do this in groups. This is with online learning groups they're so hard to pull off. Just it just coordinating it's just so hard. Go to your hit escape, Hazelton.
Yep.
Okay, so you have the same menu as normal.
Yeah.
So Spraggins.
Yeah, I didn't. I
There
think
it
he
is,
went
after
to.
Quake Full.
Yeah, he did this, and I was like, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I still don't know why the sprites are missing from the nail gun. I literally copied over the entire thing for my home directory, and whenever you fire that, yeah, the sprites are missing. That's the missing texture. texture. So
This is the missing texture?
yeah, you see a little where it should be a little fire symbol.
Yeah.
Or fire sprite.
Wait, well, what about the like super nail gun or whatever? That one was confusing us too. We were trying to change that around as well, but we couldn't tell what it did because we had to add it to a class.
Oh, you didn't save the you didn't save it using the Windows 1252 encoding.
Okay.
You see how your text got all screwed up there? Hit 9 again.
Oh, mine?
Yeah, you see that?
Oh yeah.
There's a specific text coding you have to save when you do Quake modding, or it VS Code thinks that what you're doing is UTF-8. It's not a UTF-8, and it screws up the encoding.
How do you do that?
In VS Code, here, go ahead and okay. Bottom right corner of the screen, you can see the little toolbar here and there. It says UTF-8. Click on that, and
for websites, isn't it?
you need to go to the config, edit config. It's not that it won't. You have to go to the preferences. Go to edit.
All of
Up top, edit. No, where is it?
it's on the bottom left.
Preferences,
on the
settings, and then search for encoding. And then UTF-8 needs to be set to Windows 1252. Search. I don't know if you can search for it.
There's the search.
Scroll down.
1251.
12. Maybe it's that one. I could be off by.
Okay.
But the bad news is if you've broken it, it's broken. Like, it won't go back. So yeah, you have to. No, that's
1252.
Yeah, 1252. There you go. Yeah, so you're gonna have to
Save them all.
Yeah, unfortunately, anything that you've saved, the text is broken on it. So yeah, it's one of the things that is bad about using VS Code for this. It's good for everything else, but it's intelligent thing means you have to set that before you do anything, or just everything breaks. And
That's fun.
yeah, so okay, doesn't matter.
All right.
Sounds good. Go ahead and upload that on Dropbox, and yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So who would like to go next? Whee! All right, Stover. Let's see. Can I go second? Okay, yeah, sure. Wong, you are up.
Oh.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and share your screen.
So this is my game. It's just it's a maze. There's jump scares. You have to go around collecting items like these. And let me just show you. There's also a timer I implemented, and you have a minute to do it. Sprinting, flashlight, turn on and off. This.
Okay.
There's some doors that just gonna go down like this. And actually, when I was making this, that messed up. But when I was making this, I finished it and then asked my siblings to play it, and they actually got scared from the jump scares. You can't hear it, but it's like multiplied by like 5, I think. So it gets pretty loud when you go through it. Then I need to fix that. But yeah, you get a minute to try to find everything.
So it just randomly flashes zombies at you?
Yeah, basically.
There's no actual zombies in the maze?
No.
Okay.
And then once you lose, it's game over.
Okay.
And then you can also just press it to restart it if you wanted to. But yeah, that was my game. Let me go to my mod now. Yeah. Mod basically just troll miners when they go to play Minecraft.
Okay.
Basically, everything looks like diamonds.
Hmm.
And then you mine it, you'll get coal. I think there's redstone here too. So it's legit. It's basically just to troll miners when they go mining. Yeah.
All right. So like dig up the ground.
And that's just normal. I just did these blocks.
So what's the so you have to place the troll blocks or what?
Yeah,
it won't randomly generate them or anything.
Yeah, it'll do it like in the mines, but not really just out here. You have to place them.
Okay.
So
So you created fake diamond blocks? Is that the
basically,
okay? Yeah. They don't generate diamonds.
No.
Gotcha.
Well, some of them do. But
Yeah.
Yeah, this one.
Okay.
Yep. And yeah, that's about it.
All right. Cool. All right. Thank you, Wong. Round of applause for Mr. Wong, and as well as our previous contestants. Spraggins and Hazelton. All right. Stover, you are up next.
Real quick, sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but
Sure.
Google Drive, can I use that? I have
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Anything's fine.
I'll be uploading before I leave to my doctor.
Okay. Let me pause the stream. I think my coffee just arrived. I'll be right back. Mr. Stover, you're up. One moment. Okay, I'll pause the recording.
Is this it? Yes. So, the original goal for the game was for a survival arcade kind of feel, but I wasn't able to completely finish it. So the point is you're simply in this dark area. You can run around. It's a third person. And you have these baddies you need to attack and fight. I wanted to use WASD instead of the mouse, but I could not figure out how to do that. As well, it took me a while to figure out how to do melee or a sword swing, because you can't just, I guess you can do radial damage, but it probably would have been simpler. But yeah, so far all you have is you're stuck in this box, you're meant to fight baddies, and you can die, but I didn't actually get a win screen. The goal would have been to kill a certain amount of baddies or parasites. Let's die faster. But
That's it?
Yep, there it goes.
Okay. What did you do for your mod?
Alright. So, I made a mod for Terraria.
Mm-hmm.
I played this game a ton. Oh, yep. So, this mod is much more utility than a content-based mod. There's this very common thing where you will have a challenge run because you have all these different weapon types. There's melee, there's ranged, and magic, and a bunch of different things. So a common challenge that players will go through is restrict themselves to a certain damage type without using any other damage. But in-game, there isn't really a way to turn off other damage. So my mod adds a couple different items which pretty much turns off damage or restricts you from dealing damage. So I'm able to attack with a melee weapon right now. I can use the item that I've added. It will notify the player, and now it will no longer deal damage. There's one little niche thing where you can do 1 damage at a time. It is technically a bug, but I feel like it is just fine because you can still do knockback, which is a fun thing to do, and just hit things away. And as well, these, let me show an example. If you make a new character, you will also start with these items in your inventory. Where is this guy? There he is. Usually you only start with these 3 weapons, but I have given the players the restrictors and also the weapons they need to start with, because it kind of suck if you start a run without the proper weapon. And then we can summon our little guy, and you'll be attacking, but we can't deal damage with anything else. It's kind of dark. That is the big point of the mod. Give me 1 moment, but that's pretty much it. Okay, my apologies about that. But that is the main portion of the mod.
Okay. Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, I can see the benefit of that. I've played games that have challenges like that as well.
Throw items away? What do you mean? I mean, technically yes. Like you can just throw an item away if you don't want to use it. But the main purpose is to prevent you from being tempted, I should say, because that's definitely an issue.
Is there a reason?
At least,
yeah, I understand what you're doing there. It's like if somebody wants to do a no melee run, then they just turn that on and then just play the game. And they could probably throw away the... I see. Can you throw the items away? He's probably asking about the restrictors. Like, can you throw those away so they're not taking up your inventory slots?
yes.
Yeah.
And if you need them, again, they are craftable with the very common dirt block, which you can get practically anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So you can just craft them again without anything if you need them. So they're very cheap and easy to access.
Nice. Yeah, I played a game called NetHack that the game tracks challenges for you. So, like, when you get to the end of the game, if you had a no melee run or if you ate no animals, it would say you cleared the game as a vegetarian, things like that. So, yeah, I dig that. Have you released it on the Terraria mod?
Not yet. I need to still make an image and a nice description for it. As well, it's only for 1.3. I did not use the alpha for 1.4, so this is more it's not outdated, but it's not for the newer version that's coming out soon.
I thought Terraria had stopped development, or am I wrong about that?
It's really weird. They said they've had their final update, then final update, and then come October, they did a crossover with Don't Starve and added more stuff. But for modding, 1.4 is pretty much the final product, and they're still working on the official 1.4 launcher for mods, so it's not stable.
I see.
It's usable in an alpha version right now, but I did not use that alpha version. I just used the older version of the mod loader.
That makes sense. And the other question I was going to have was, why does it only do 1 damage? Why not 0 damage? What's the source of this?
So the way this works is I'm pretty much making the attack modifier 0 for a weapon, so it does 0 damage. But there is a niche, or it's not really niche, but for swung weapons, which stay in your hand and are not a projectile, most weapons in Terraria are projectiles. Like this slime staff, the slime gear counts as a projectile. It's a minion, but it's still a projectile.
Mm-hmm.
And for most weapons, like that's a projectile. Melee weapons even shoot projectiles sometimes. But then you have the hitbox for swinging weapons in your hand. So like true melee. There's something about... I don't know specifically how it works, but you either turn it completely off for melee weapons, or have it just deal 1 damage, which I did not actually figure out how to do. But I believe it's still beneficial to be able to knock things away with tools that can be useful.
You're really not going to kill anything with that, so...
No, not unless you try really, really hard. But at that point, I mean, yes, it's the player's fault, but it's also the player's decision to try and, download the mod. And...
Yeah, so, I gotcha. Alright, cool. Very cool. Everyone, big round of applause for Stover. I can definitely see the use for that. It's very cool. Okay. Who wants to go next? Alright. Diaz, you are unmuted. Go ahead and say hi.
Hello.
All right.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to present my mod first because that is the first thing I have loaded. Where's my screen? Screen. So I have picked to mod Starbound and do a weapon, and it took me a while to actually mod it in because I had to find a way to actually mod Starbound.
Nice. Is50.
So,
very cool.
Yeah. I made the item craftable, so I go to crafting, type in which so far it is just the recipe is just using 1 wooden log. I was trying to have a special material for it, but I could not get it working and it kept crashing. So when I create the item, it creates 2 of them. This is me having the test version on. Mainly, it's something. It took me a while to figure out how to do. I was trying to make a sword as well, but I couldn't get it working. Sure, find an enemy to test this on. The projectiles bounce when they hit objects. It's one of the base parameters for weapons in Starbound. So yeah. Overall, I had to do a few editing of files, moving things around, and create a directory for the game to access it, which is shown over here. To get all the way to make sure the weapon's actually functional in Starbound. So yeah, that's the mod. What's everyone think of it?
What is the Is50 Sword?
I was trying to get it to work, but I was having problems with the trying to get it through. Sadly, it's not working right now. I'm still trying to figure out to get the mod working. I have a different folder where it's at currently. It's likely something I did with the coding and messing up the melee animations.
So what is the purpose of the gun?
The gun is supposed to be originally it's supposed to be a starting weapon, so you can actually start off with it. Easy to make, and as the one thing is Starbound does is it has a level, like weapons go from level 1 to all the way to level 6. The idea is to have it, you start off with a basic version, and as you go on throughout the game, you get the more upgraded versions, which I was trying to get someone to help me create some custom assets for it, which they won't be done for until like next week. So I'm just using a placeholder already existing weapon model for this.
You chose the code for it?
Yeah, let me show the code. Here to start off, here is the recipe for it, which is very simple. Here is the config so the game can actually access it. The metadata data, which is the basic description of the weapon. And here is the full code of the weapon.
All right, very cool. All right, let's take a look at your project.
I was going with a platformer, and okay, so the player starts here, this section, and your goal is to get to that flag. I was trying to make it transition where if the player gets to the flag, they move on to level 2, but that's not working right now. So let's just show demo what's happening.
No.
And of course, I would mess it up. There was supposed to be animation to pick up stuff because there are supposed to be enemies, but it's not working. And random door, it's not supposed to be there. And one thing and there's always a love trap on platformers.
Nice.
Yep.
You got the zombies T-posing at you.
Yeah, originally they're supposed to have animation AI, but I did something wrong with animating them, and they have a sound effect. The problem is that it's of the car crash sound.
It's fine.
It plays it really loud, so it doesn't work. Its problem is that the moment you load into the map, you just hear it immediately. So yeah, I wanted to do a bit more on this thing, but the fact that I kept getting sick and trying to get the mod working as well.
Okay. Can you complete it? Like, is it possible to get across that trap?
It is possible to get across that trap.
Okay.
But right now, currently, no, because I have not added the platform. It's supposed to be a trick platform.
Okay.
Because there's supposed to be a box that's supposed to be invisible.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Round of applause for Mr. Diaz. So, I think you guys probably saw making a game from scratch can be, there's a lot to it, right? There's, like even when you know all the different components, there's just a lot that goes into actually making it all happen. You got triggers, and even if you know, like, all right, if I walk here, this thing does this. Like just doing it and like putting the thing in and making the code work and testing it and all that stuff. It just takes a while. And that's the primary obstacle to getting the game of your dreams done, is that it does take a while, and you have to have sort of this you have to make an unhealthy life choice to just really sit down and just grind on something, 24/7. Like I made custom TF over about 3 non-stop days of coding. Like I started on like a Friday afternoon, and by Friday at midnight I had like a working I wouldn't release it, but like a working alpha, I would say. And then where you could go into a menu and select different items to buy, and then have a money system, and then go into the world and stuff like that. And then all day Saturday, I was finding all the bugs that cropped up when you take Team Fortress and put the classes into a blender, because the game does not expect a sniper to have the ability to disguise himself or whatever, And so, for example, you could hold down attack as a sniper. In Team Fortress, it charges up the sniper rifle. Then you could feign death, right? And and so you could charge your sniper rifle while dead, And so there's just all these like weird interactions because the game just did not expect a heavy weapons guy to be able to build a sentry gun, like none of that. So having like just a first sketch was important, and then I just sat there all day Saturday, just knocking out, like just trying every combination. And then I had to implement like being able to sell things. So like you buy an item, you don't want it, you have to sell it back. Well, that causes all sorts of chaos to ensue because depending on how you do it, like I ended up allowing infinite money exploits and things like that. And this is just me. I hadn't even released it yet, and I was discovering, okay, if I buy this and then sell this, because this item gives you this one for free, and then you sell it, and then you sell the original, then you get more money back than what you bought. Because when you buy Pyro Toys, the incendiary cannon, you did get the asbestos armor for free. And then, but asbestos armor could be bought separately, so you bought that, and you sell the original, you get more money back. And I'm just like, oh Lord, so how do I do this if I sell this? But what if they don't have it anymore? And so I eventually just split them off so that you just have to buy them separately. And then by the end of Sunday, like by afternoon on Sunday, I had something that was like playable and good and solid. And I took it to a LAN party where one of the guys who worked for Team Fortress Software was at, and the guy who ran like the biggest Quake server in San Diego was at. It was his clan. It was just a big LAN party for them and their friends. And I brought it there, and they tried it out, and they loved it. It had a great reception. The guy from Team Fortress said, "Can I buy you a pizza?" And I was like, "Nah, I don't want any money for this," and I've never taken any money for it. It doesn't interest me selling it, Although for the new Quake re-release, like I would probably be interested in getting custom Team Fortress to run on it. Because there aren't that many mods on it, and the new engine's completely different, and so I'm actually kind of curious about the how they made Quake different because they've re-released, but under the hood it's a completely different beast, and the Quake C is incompatible, and to a certain extent as well. So, has anyone tried to hire me because of custom Team Fortress? I don't think so. I don't know. I would get invitations to like collaborate on things and stuff like that, but I would just be like, hey, if you need any help, just ask me and I'll help you. I've never really been interested in monetizing it. I did offer to help with this mod that came out a little bit after mine, because it had kind of the same design. It was called Counter-Strike, and so this guy named Gooseman came out with a game where you could like purchase weapons and armor and things like that. And I was like, oh, it's a lot like my mod. And I was playing with him, and it's like, hey, if you need any help with it, I can help you out. I've done stuff like this before. He's like, no, it's all right. I found this. So, yeah, Counter-Strike turned out to be bigger than my mod. So, I'd imagine since some modders get hired by devs, yeah, it's pretty common. It's pretty common actually. Then you turn down a free pizza. You had to re-download Starbound twice. Yeah, it's like Ion Storm, who was Romero's game company after he left id Software. They predominantly hired modders, and he said that was a mistake because modders have a lot of passion and but their education is like kind of all over the place, and there are certain skills you need to make a AAA game that are only taught at a AAA game studio. So, for example, here in this class, a lot of the students here had ideas. You had 18 weeks to do it, didn't make it. Right at AAA game studio, like time deadlines are like a big deal, and things like asset pipelines are a big deal. When an artist makes a new gun, they model, usually in Blender, Maya, 3ds Max, whatever. They model like a high-res gun. Okay, how does that get into the game? There's a series of steps that go into that. I haven't taught any of that. Predominantly because I'm not an artist. Like, what my primary interest and focus is in game code. Like, how do you make a gun that shoots a giant rubber ball that will bounce around the map? And after 3 bounces explodes into confetti and causes things to start glowing so you can see them. That's the kind of thing that I'm interested in. Game engine stuff, I've written game engines before, and they're interesting to me. But at the same time, you don't really need to know that nowadays in a world where you have Unity and Unreal Engine. You just let the smart nerds do the engine stuff, and then you can use your game code on top of that. That said, in Is50B, we do start talking more about the underlying game engine stuff. And the Unreal Engine source code is available. And so if you need something in the engine, you can mod it in to the Unreal Engine itself. You can't handle the deadlines. Yeah, the good news about teaching is that the pressure's off you, but you do have to make you do have deadlines. Like, all of your grades have to be in by basically Sunday. And so for this class, I think everything's been graded. I'll have to check, see if anything's been submitted since the last time I checked this morning. But basically, yeah, all your grades are going to go in like pretty quickly. But like, anyway, what I was saying was like the art pipeline. The artist will make a gun high res, and then at some point it needs to be made low res, low triangle count, right? So you need to generate different level of details for this gun. And even the high level of detail in a video game is going to be way, way lower, depending on how many triangles you use in the original. And you'll generate like a low, a medium, and a high, LOD for that piece of art. Then where do those go? Does it go onto a Google Drive? Does it go onto a file server? How do you name it? Because the game programmer, like me, is going to be like, all right, pre-cache file, John's gun. Where is it? What folder is it in? You know what I mean? Is it in a database? Like, how does that whole connection between art and coder work? And sometimes there's multiple steps. There's a whole, what's called an art pipeline, where the artist will pass something off to another person, and that person might work on it, and then they pass it off to another person. And all of those things need to be tracked and kept, because if things fall through the cracks, you're not going to meet any of your deadlines. Where's my rocket launcher? I made it 3 weeks ago. What do you mean you made it 3 weeks ago? Yeah, I passed it to Bob. Bob's like, I never saw it, but I sent you an email. Oh, dang, I lost the email. You need to have some sort of tools that, manage this and file servers and databases and when you end up having like 100,000 bits of art, like, where is the ribbon? I know I made a ribbon that you could put on people's, clothing, and it's just this beautiful little ribbon that blows in the... Where is it? I don't know. Search for ribbon in the database. I'm not finding it. And you find out that it was called award or something like that. You're just like... You're just scrolling through 100,000 lines of entries, like, trying to blindly find this thing. Like, it gets rough, if you don't have that thing set up. And I can't teach that because you're not going to be working on a project in this class that has 100,000 pieces of art. So, to be fair, like, Quake C has a fair bit of art in it. Let's see here. Fortress maps. 910 maps come with Team Fortress. And is something flashing? Was it flashing? And then as far as art, there's 282 just in the root directory here. These are all the different models. And then One Man Clan has another 5. I thought there was more than that. Oh. And as far as sounds goes, there's 107 folders of sounds. Folders and files, and then inside of these there's who knows how many more. So, we got, a fair bit, a fair bit. Let's say 200 plus 100, like maybe 300 bits of sounds, something like that. Textures don't really matter. And then that's not counting the stuff that are in the pack files. So the pack files are like zips. And so these things have tons of art and sound. And so these are all the things we've added that aren't in the pack files. And so there's 4 pack files for Team Fortress that are collections of all the different bits of sound and textures, and presumably maps could be put in there as well. And that's on top of the pack files that Quake came with. So Quake has a number of pack files. This is the core Quake installation is 60 megabytes. It's gargantuan, 60 megabytes. The entire game of Quake. That has all the art and music and sound and all that stuff. The levels, the models, everything. And so the Quake retexturing project is 171 megs. That's just the textures. So people came in after, hard drives got a lot bigger, and all of Quake, 60 megs, and just the retexturing at higher res was 170 megs. So, and then presumably Spraggins and others have downloaded more recent things. These are real-time lighting. There's also a pack file. This is a pack file for Quake 3, and so FTE Quake supports the Quake 3 pack file format. So you can see a lot of those in there as well. Packscape is a pack browser, so you can view the files. Yeah, so anyhow, the point is that that's old school, huh? Look at that. These files are from 98 in here. 97. It's a screenshot from 1997. Look at that. Look at that resolution. This is the resolution we were playing at in 1997. Zoom in. So I was playing with my 2 roommates. This is Hani and Ani, and that's Kevin Johnson, my roommates. And so I crushed them in deathmatch, so I screenshotted it. Man, that was old school though. Yeah. So anyhow, the point is that this class can teach you the basics, but it can't teach you what it's like to be at a AAA studio. And so to come back to the point, is that hiring modders is a good idea, especially when people put together these really big professional mods, because at least that they know your engine, that they can produce results, and they have a good sensibility for balance and art and things like that, because that's something that's hard to teach. Having having it be fun and things like that. Presuming you're hiring somebody who made a fun mod, not just garbage, right? Why would you hire somebody who made a garbage mod? And so those things can be hard to kind of teach. And so you can kind of get somebody with those skills, but then you still have to sort of train them in the whatever, pipelines you use, whatever process you have at your company to turn them into like a AAA game developer. But yeah, like the Team Fortress people, they were modders, right? So Robin and all the other guys, Ian and the other guys from Team Fortress Software, they were hired by Valve as a bunch of modders, and they've been quite successful at doing the whole Team Fortress thing, for the past 20 years or so. Right. The screen's on it. It doesn't matter. I'm just staring at a snowy screen. Here, you must have missed that then. So the Quake here is id Software. Yeah, so here's the original pack files. which are like 60 megs. And then inside of my original installation for Quake, there's this file here from August 4th, 1997. And so that's the resolution we were playing the game at right there, back in the day. So I'm on a 4K monitor right now. It's streaming to you guys at 1080p. It'll be uploaded onto YouTube at 4K, I think. But this is the resolution that we were playing Quake at back in the day. So that is 320 by 280, I think, something like that. So if you were to zoom this in, this is about what it would look like. JPEG artifacts, or no, this is PCX, yeah. But quite blocky, and we run it on the minimal resolution. You could play it at 640 by 480. The frame rate would dip though. This is all done in software. This maybe by 97, I had a hardware accelerator, but originally it was all done in the CPU. So the CPU had to generate a color for each one of the squares on the screen, and toss it onto your video card and have it go to the monitor. So 320 resolution was what we would play at for maximum speed, because when we're doing deathmatch, frame rates matter more than resolution. So lowest you ever played in was 800 by 600, yeah. Let's see. This is from 14 years ago. I don't know why I have a screenshot of that. Seems like kind of a random thing to have a screenshot of. Maybe I was testing the... Huh. Oh, maybe just the resolution. Yeah, you can see how blurry this thing is here. So, yeah, there's these things called Anesiotropic Filtering and things like that. They make textures look better at a steep angle. This kind of needs it. This is Quake though. This is an FT Quake. FT Quake looks a lot better than that's with bloom. Oh Lord, look at that. The bloom on that is ugly. Ugly. So what resolution is this? This is probably 800 by 600 or something. Yeah. Bloodstains. When was that taken? That's 14 years ago. So. All right. Anyhow, so. Code reviews would be excellent for me and the student. My mod has 40 JSONs just for the hand models, 10 achievement JSONs, 60 JSONs in total. I was making Python dev tools to try to get the workflow set up. Yeah, that's all. It's all really important stuff. But like, there's only a certain amount you can kind of simulate in the games class. You know, like there really is something to working at a company that can't really be taught. So if you get an opportunity, you know, if anybody wants to hire you, I'd say go for it. Even if it's EA or something like that, like learn how EA does things, and you know, it's something, you ship something. I bet Blizzard's gonna be hiring. Actually, Blizzard might not be hiring now. I don't know. I actually don't know. Blizzard jobs, given their sexual harassment scandal. But I mean, the game does go on, so job title, let's say junior customer relations manager, solutions architect, junior outsourced artist temp. No, you don't want that. Game design internship in Irvine. Yeah, sure. Let's take a look at that. Internships are in person. This will be down in Irvine, so definitely if you're interested in working for Blizzard, which I don't know if you should be right now, given the mess the company is in. Go to UC Irvine. UC Irvine has a very close partnership with Blizzard. Blizzard supports their esports team. They're given tons of free Blizzard merch, you know, and things like that. And they hire a lot of interns from there. So, like, if you're a Blizzard fanboy, that would be a good school to go to. You have to be pursuing your bachelor's graduating June 2022 or later. So that's next year. Or later. Oh, I see. Or later. Yeah, okay. All right. 12-week internship, design sensibilities, technical skills, strong work ethic, passionate about learning. Resume and portfolio link. Okay, so it's game balance design intern for Hearthstone. That's actually pretty huge, because usually interns don't get a design. They don't get to do design usually because they don't trust interns enough. So the Blizzard you'll touch is from Dairy Queen. Bungie is good. Internships, yeah. So that's, I would apply to that kind of stuff, and just apply widely. A company like Blizzard is going to get 900 million applications for the thing. So do what you can. I've talked to recruiters before, and basically, you want to make yourself stand out. You want to be passionate, and you want to have something that stands out from the crowd, because there's going to be a lot of people who are like, I've taken a semester of game development. It's like, all right, cool. There's 900 of you. Which one should we pick, right? So you need something that'll make you stand out from the crowd. Walker Logan has been working a lot on his portfolio, and he's put together different projects over the years, and you kind of want to do that, because an internship is a good way of getting your foot in the door, right? Love to work for Logic or a small indie developer. Yeah. I would prefer working for a smaller company too. Especially given, what we're hearing coming out of Blizzard, and then, EA and these other big companies are consistently rated very poor places to work at, and stuff like that. It does kind of depend, also. It does kind of depend. And, crunch time's a thing, but, it's not always a thing. It just depends. These are actually good opportunities here. Design interns is actually quite. These are actually really good opportunities, actually, to do design. So usually companies don't trust interns to do design. Themes and mechanics, like that's, it's pretty big. Game design experience. So in order to apply for that, I would, maybe put together different, card games, like put together like a simple card game that has like an interesting mechanic in it. Make a spin-off of some popular game with your own twist on it. Maybe do 2 or 3 of those and be like, hey, look, this is exactly the kind of thing I'm applying for. Dungeon design intern. All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and so get a sense for what they're looking for. Look at these bullet points and build those skills, right? The one thing you can't really do is just sort of be lazy. It really is a hustle to get into. I don't mean that like a scam, but like you gotta hustle, you gotta work hard without getting paid, which means you have to kind of be passionate about this whole thing. Because again, especially if you want to work on like World of Warcraft or something like that, where they're going to have 900 WoW nerds, applying for it, you need something to stand up from the crowd. And if you do get the internship, take it. Like, oh, I can't miss 12 weeks of community college. Yeah, you can. Just leave. Just leave. Just take the job. Because those opportunities are quite rare. To get an internship at a company like Blizzard. So. They actually have quite a few interns available. It's actually quite a few internships available right now. So, in game design too, which is quite rare. So, in order to show off your design skills, usually in this class, I have students design a board game, and I didn't do it this semester. Maybe I should have, but I focused a lot more on just Unreal Engine 4 this semester instead of having you guys design a board game. Mr. Bell usually helps me judge the board games, and we talk about problems with the mechanics and things like that. We didn't do it this year though, because it's just hard when you're not in person. Like the whole online experience just made it like I'd put people into groups, and the groups would disintegrate because nobody's talking to each other. So, okay. Yeah. All right. So that's that. Does anyone else still need to present? I think we got everybody in 50A. I think we can probably move on to the 50B people after this. You're waiting for 3? What, 3 what? Destiny 3? You can go? All right. All right, Duncan, you are unmuted. Go ahead and share your screen.
Okay.
Why is this thing flashing? That's so weird.
I'll start with my game project first. So I used the SFML library to make a game from scratch.
Nice.
And it's just a simple apple catching game.
Yeah, so explain to the crowd what SFML is.
SFML is a C++ library that you can install and use, and it gives you a lot of different things. It's not specifically made for games, I don't think. It's just to help you display things onto the screen, so you can create windows and display images.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the M is multimedia, so it's not specifically for games, but it is kind of, you know,
Yeah.
kind of is, yeah.
And then let me share the .exe here because there's sound.
Okay. Not hearing
I
any.
don't know if that's the right one. It opens up a different window. That's fine.
Kind of fun making games with things that aren't made for making games. Yeah, I mean, SFML is sort of the
Yummy. Yummy.
like
Yummy. Let's go. Yummy. Yummy.
So
Yummy.
the apples start at a pretty slow rate, obviously, so you can get warmed up to it. I'll hit this, you can hear the sound. If you let those go by, you don't lose life, but if you let the apples go below you, you will lose life.
Yummy.
Simple screen wrapping there.
Let's go.
The hearts also don't lose your life if you miss them. But
Yummy.
the max speed is half a second spawn,
Yummy.
and I don't know what the rate of falling is, like
Yummy.
in terms of meters per second or anything, but it goes up to 1, a
Yummy.
rate of 1.
Yummy.
And then I put some epic
Yummy.
Mariah Carey Christmas 8-bit music.
Yummy.
It's funny.
Yummy. Yummy. Yummy.
Probably gonna
So this
get
will go on for a while.
probably gonna get a copyright striked on YouTube for this.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Ah, very nice.
Yummy.
Nice.
Yummy.
So I'll just let myself die here. The chances, the heart is 1 in 3, I believe. The bombs are 1 in 7, and then the apples are 90 out of 100, or 9 out of 10. That's it. The score does save. Oh, it's not showing my screen. Hold on. There we go. Yeah, so it'll save your score and the time. That's a little bug right there, or a little typo. I forgot to change that, I guess. But the top thing is how long the time was. So 86 seconds, and then your score at the bottom there. If you close out of the window early, it will also save your score.
Nice.
So that's
Very
it for
Very
the.
cool. All right. And then your mod.
Yeah, my mod is for Stardew Valley. I didn't make any changes since the last time you saw it. Oh no. Okay. There's a new update for the game. I forgot to update the modding API. I guess in the meantime, while I'm doing that, we can look at the code for the Apple game.
Yeah, while you're doing that, these two things I've messed around with before in the past for doing what he's done there to draw things on the screen. SDL is I think I showed that earlier. It's for C, but even though it's for C instead of C++, it does work fine with C++, obviously, and a lot of people a lot of people use it. Like Valve uses it for their source engine. It's a way of drawing things on the screen. And then SFML is more C++y, and so you can, they've got good, tutorials and things like that. So that's all stuff that you might want to take a look at in the future. All right, so there we go. All right.
Hopefully this works.
See, now I have Mariah Carey stuck in my head. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Let's see.
Oh no. Hopefully this still work.
After the update,
Yeah.
it's always a gamble.
Actually, this is the wrong file. Here we go. Alright, fantastic. It still works. So this mod is just a simple quality of life thing. Normally you can't put any items into this bundle right here. All I did was go through and I changed it so that you are able to do that. So it's pretty nice. Normally you have to go to a specific location on the map in order to put those items into the bundle. So we'll see if I can go there. So normally you have to go into this building, otherwise you can't do it. So it's just a nice quality of life thing to be able to put those items anywhere. And then my other mod was this, which is normally this item in the game, you can look at any store, but you can't actually buy from it. So the item's essentially useless because you're probably not going to forget what's in the store. So this one's not working. That's not good. But I'll just show off the GIF I have on the website. But that one is right here. And essentially it just lets you buy from the stores from that item. Or yeah,
1,300 downloads, dude. Very cool.
That's probably something I need to look into though, if it's not working. It might just be a compatibility issue with something else though.
Yeah, check your posts on Nexus Mods, see if anyone's reporting anything.
Yeah, no one so far has, so.
Okay. Did it just update today or something?
He put out like a hot fix for a hot fix for a hot fix yesterday, so I'm not sure.
So might
if
have broken something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so go ahead and click on. Well, that's fine. Nothing.
Yeah, I don't see anything.
All right. Yeah. So what about your other mod? How many downloads does that have?
Let's look. I think it's over 3K. It's 3.7K.
Nice. Very cool.
That's all.
Not very useful.
Oh yeah, this guy went off on me. It's okay though. He had some pretty good feedback though.
Huh. Interesting. Okay. Cool. All right. Big round of applause for Mr. Duncan, everyone.
around it. World knows when I woke up.
All right. Just gonna get copyright striked again on YouTube. It's so annoying. All right. Job experience is probably more important than school. Yeah. Yeah, but still having somebody teach you the basics, so you can make your own projects, so you can get a job is probably pretty important too. All right. Who do we have left? Let me check the grade book. Torres, Monos, and Texera are not here. So you guys are going to need to send me those links by, like, tonight. So all my grades are going to go in by Sunday, but, like, today's kind of the last day of the semester. So, all right, let's check on Is50B people. We got Dolan there. Dolan, what do you got to show off to us? Aaron's coming later. Yeah, let me see your sad twin motion. Let's go ahead and unmute you. So, Dolan, go ahead and share your screen. Take a look at it. Oh, you got a video from her. Let's see if I can pull this up. Nope, there we go. It's sharing now. All right, cool. What's going on here? The Death Squad? What is the Death Squad? Yeah, you've muted yourself. I can't hear you. The bird is the Death Squad. Alright, is that it? Interesting. All right. Yui, you're up. Oh, let me unmute you. All right, Yui, can you talk?
Yeah.
All right,
I
cool.
think. And so I have two things for Twinmotion, just because having each part by itself seemed kind of sad. But this is supposed to be they have a feature where you can like rip like areas off of, I guess it's Street View or OpenStreetMap. But so you can actually just type in places. Like let's say I just ripped out Like, I think this is the World Trade Center, but
Pre or post 9/11?
I assume it's current, so I think post. But yeah.
Why is everything black?
It comes with like a default material that's kind of really weird. So I put carbon on it. I think you can put whatever you want. Like if I want to make it pink, I can do that.
So it has the shapes from Street View, but it doesn't have the textures.
Yeah, it has the shapes, but it doesn't have the textures, which is kind of goofy. Same thing with the ground. Like it came like this with like the grass kind of glitching into the road.
Yeah, it's a Z buffer conflict rather Z fighting. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I guess I can move it up, and that gets rid of it. But yeah, I think part of it, because I've seen people on YouTube do it, and it comes out a lot cleaner for them. So I'm almost wondering if like my PC isn't up to snuff, so it's not like capturing everything. But this is a general idea. Let me go back to like I can make these all out of glass, which kind of makes everything bleed, like my eyes.
Yeah.
But,
could be cool, except that's a little too much, I think.
yeah, it's also all of the buildings I think are considered. I don't know if like one entity is the right word, but you can't change the like each building's material. Like it's all clustered as one.
Oh, so the whole thing is imported as one object then.
Yeah, but you can change the heights of each individual building.
Huh.
If you want to see shadows, like it's good. If you want to like change the time of day,
Okay.
it's
That
actually works.
actually looks
quite
nice.
nice,
That actually looks really nice. Yeah.
And so you can look this way, and their lighting's pretty good. I think the idea of this is just like if you make a building and you want to see the context around it.
Right.
I think that's the idea of like what this
You like drop it
feature
in.
is for.
Like
Yeah.
you want to like you've got you're going to be building a house on the Beverly Hills bluff overlooking downtown LA. You pull in the LA skyline. You can see, look from the balcony here. You'll be able to see the whatever Staples Center or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Although it's
I'll
not
ask them to
Staples. It's
find
not
that.
Staples Center anymore, is it?
No clue. Crypto.com either. But yeah, if you type in different places, I tried ripping. I went to Buchanan, so I wanted to see the area around it, but it literally pulls up maybe 2 buildings, and then the rest of it is just like the streets. Like it's really not great. So that's why I went to New York to try to. It at least pulled some of the buildings. I tried going to other places like Dallas. It pulled some buildings.
Not all that interesting.
So
Yeah, so the Staples Center is getting renamed on Christmas to the Crypto.com Arena.
yeah, that's gonna be weird to say.
Staples Center at least rolls off the tongue. Staples Center, it's got that sibilance going on. Crypto.com Center, like it's a hard versus a soft C. I don't know. Anyhow, continue.
I'll just open the other thing then. I think it's this one. I'll save this, I guess.
So what was your experience like working with Twinmotion?
Makes my computer make weird noises. Also, pulling this from, I guess, Google or I guess Street View or OpenStreet. That took like 15 minutes. But I think I was impressed by everything looks great. I mean, like just like even their demo stuff. They have a few demo levels. They look. I mean, the water physics look great. You can import objects really easily. I think the idea though of Twinmotion is that like you make a house in a separate app, and then you convert it to a file, and then import it into Twinmotion, and then you can kind of decorate it so that like if you want to show clients.
This is a demo level? This is a demo level?
It's the demo level, and then I added some people, I refurnished everything. And so all the interior is me. But yeah. And then I don't know, they let you do stuff like bring in like this hot air balloon, which is crazy. Or this car.
Yeah, that house is not gonna be comfortable in the wintertime. Look at how much heat's gonna be bleeding out of those windows. Oof.
Yeah, and I think it's really nice for, I mean, just changing the time of day. I mean, it's crazy to see the lighting that fast.
Yeah.
But
Looks
and
nice.
you can walk
So-
in pedestrian mode, which is kind of nice. It's
Look,
kind of
look at the lights. The reflections off the lights are from sun. Look, it's actually doing the screen reflections off when it's sunny. You see that?
Yeah.
the time of day didn't update the. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. Okay. I think I'm stuck in the ground, so I'm gonna try to switch to this mode, then get out,
Okay.
then switch back. But yeah, and they let you walk around, and I think it's just it's like a visualization tool. I think just mainly for architecture. But
Yeah. The point of it is, for architects and people doing interior decorations and things like that. I've always thought Twinmotion's kind of a weird name for it, because why is it Twinmotion? Like, I don't know. To me, Twinmotion sounds like you got two joysticks, and you're like there are some old school shooters that you would have two joysticks. One's your direction you're moving, the other's the direction you're firing. Like when you have two joysticks on a controller.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well done.
Okay.
Thank you,
And
sir.
then-
Anything else you want to show?
Yeah, I made a Flappy Bird,
Oh, cool.
and so I'll just show. Oop, hold on, I have an alarm ringing. Let me turn that off. Okay,
Time to demo my project. All right.
I'll pull it up somewhere. I did it in PyCharm just because I couldn't get Python to work in Visual Studio, and then I tried using another thing called Replit, and that worked, but it's an online IDE, so it ran like the game super slowly, and so I had to do it in PyCharm eventually. But now it works, and so it's just opening the files, and then I'll run it, and then I'll stream it.
Dolan, what was your experience with Twinmotion? How long did you play with it for? Okay. All right. The pipes were always the same height.
Ooh, wait, why are they shoes? I think that was just RNG. I don't think. Oh, are they all the same height after?
No, there you
No.
go.
I think I have 3 different heights set, but that's weird that it kept. Huh.
So did you run through one of the Flappy Bird tutorials for this?
Yeah, I needed. Yeah, but I think I don't know. Using Pygame was fun though. Just learning because it's so much easier. Or it's easy to read for someone who's like never worked on it before, and it's. I'll tweak the gravity so I can make it easier for myself. But yeah, definitely need a tutorial though, because this it's not crazy difficult, but a lot of these things or even this is one of my first times working with like importing files, and so yeah, that was just nice to have.
Why was Flappy Bird taken down? I think the creator of Flappy Bird didn't like all of the attention that it was getting. Like he just made like some dumb game, and then it turned into this worldwide sensation, and he just didn't. From what I recall, like he just didn't like that. Is there no Wikipedia entry for this? There we go. Made it a couple days and then became a worldwide sensation. You can't also expect that to happen to you either. Alleged plagiarism. It was removed on 2014. So people were selling phones that had Flappy Bird installed on it. It's fine. Yeah, so I don't know. Success is it sounds kind of weird, but success actually brings its own problems. Like it's. I think Dolan's probably heard me talk about this before, but like most people are so concentrated on like becoming successful, like getting the first job and making money and stuff like that, that they kind of don't really like that. That's what all of our educational systems kind of geared towards, is like, all right, you know, you've graduated from college and now you've gotten your job at, you know, Chase Manhattan as a programmer. Our job here is done. You know, our goal is to prepare students to get that job and to be, you know, not fired immediately for sleeping in or showing up late for work and things like that. Yeah, you can go next, Bencourt. The thing is though, like, success is actually its own trap, and it presents its own set of challenges and things like that. Like one story I know that I think Belle and Steph have both heard me tell before is my sister's one of my sister's friends in high school was just this nice, you know, dude, you know, kind of friendly kid, and his father was my tax accountant, and the father originally was just having like a corner in like Vaughn's or whatever where he had a booth set up saying, I'll do your taxes $40. You just sit down, he does your taxes for $40. And so me being a, you know, poor college student, like, I'm like, oh, $40 to do my taxes, hell yeah. And then you know, he did that for a couple of years. A couple of years later he had his own little room in a strip mall, and then eventually expanded into this office, and then he ended up getting a whole office building, like huge extent, and building up, you know, this tax business. And then he died suddenly of a heart attack. And I love the guy too. The dude that died, you know, he was a really good guy, very honest guy, but also very clever with the taxes, you know. He's like, you know, showing you all the different ways, you know, you can do your taxes in a completely legal fashion that would, you know, save you money. And so he was popular with me and a lot of other people in the area. And then he died. It was very tragic. And so this kid, at the age of, I don't know, 23 or whatever, takes over this 4-story building with all these CPAs and accountants and things like that, and he basically lets the money and the success get to his head. He partners with this guy who was quite shady and was always trying to get me to invest in his personal projects, which I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to do when you're my accountant, you know, like, but, you know, what do I know? And they had all these schemes and things like that, and so I was like, yeah, I don't know. And then I started working with you're unmuted right now, Bencourt.
Yeah, I just waiting for you to finish your story.
Yeah. So the dead guy's partner ended up leaving the company because he didn't like the direction that the son was going in, and he was doing my taxes. I was talking to him, and like the son, who's this dorky, you know, nice, sweet kid, he was like all of a sudden having all this slicked back hair, and he was playing grab ass with his secretaries, and like I was just like, yeah, I know. I was just like, because he let it all get to his head, you know, and so I was like, no, I'm not going to be part of this anymore. And so I left that company and followed this, you know, this guy who just had he was just in a small little building in an office complex somewhere, and he was my, you know, accountant until I moved up here, really. And yeah, long story is, like, you know, once you're successful, you need to be careful, you know, because a lot of people let success get to their head. Look at O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson was a high school athlete star. Everybody told him how awesome he was, and he went into college and was amazing. Never told him how awesome he was. He became a movie star, you know, in the Naked Gun series and things like this. And you know, a friend of the family who ran a tennis show.
Yeah, I
actually.
remember the OJ case.
Yeah. And then he ends up, you know, probably murdering his wife. But like a friend of the family who ran a tennis show on PBS, he was a sports psychologist, and he said, yeah, like when you do that, especially to high school kids, like you know, when they're successful too early and they don't have a good foundation in their life, like it just ruins their character, you know. And if you look at all these stories, like NBA players and football players and things like that they throw millions of dollars at them when they're like 18 years old, like they just, you know, as soon as they get out of the NBA, they're bankrupt within a year, you know, because they have no concept of money and anything. So yeah, that'll be my final lesson to you guys. Just, you know, Sure, getting to be successful and getting to earn a lot of money and all that stuff is, it's important. You know, you need to build your skills and build yourself towards being successful. But at the same time, once you are successful, then
Don't become a Bobby Kotick.
or a Flappy Bird. All right, Bencourt, you're up.
Okay, let's get started. So this is the personal project I did. I did Tetris JS. I really like Tetris. And I've been taking a lot of web development classes this semester. I took HTML and CSS at SEC. And I've been taking JavaScript at SEC, so this was a natural progression for me. So you can all play it right now. I'm using a temporary server just to host the website. It's a really cool game. I know Kearney basically reviewed it before you guys saw it. So there's a little password system to keep your score in here. It's just like something to keep the browser. So if you want to check your score, you just go on the browser and look at it. Simple. Just I'm just know if it's RAM stuff in here. And it's just a simple Tetris game with some HTML stylings. Personally, I like Tetris. So this is the personal project. I most of this I did by scratch. The matrix math is something I learned a little bit in Math 6. And because I know I work at the Math Center, and I get a lot of Math 6 students who just like say, oh, he only has one problem. Even though I haven't done Math 6, I look at some of their stuff. It's like, oh, yeah, they do matrix math and, moving things throughout matrices and stuff like that. I just started learning about it. I eventually asked my coworkers, asking, oh, how do I move this across the matrix? And I ended up getting, Tetris on there eventually. I can show you some of the source code if you want me to.
Yeah, pull it up.
Let me just go to my GitHub and get it. But I have my mod up, though. So let me just quit the game. Just go back to home. So if I go to my GitHub and I have my Tetris.js, just a lot of HTML code, really. It's a couple JS stuff here, like right here. You have the main thing right here. You have the colors. You have the constant area. Basically, we're just making a canvas element, and we're just sparsing it out into little cells to put our little Tetris blocks in. So, of course, this is where the heart of the code's at in the functions.js, where you have your save scores, remove scores, your matrix math here, your checking, your arena sweeps, your collides. And
what's an arena sweep?
Basically, if you get a line, we're just checking if you get a line or not.
Mm-hmm.
You have like two nested loops right here.
So you're going through every row to see if all the blocks on the row are filled?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then you have our pieces using matrices. Then you have our draw matrices. And I did a menu system because Kearney wanted the menu to show up for the next piece. So I ended up being this array system set up where we push into the front of the array and you push back of the array so we know what pieces are going to be next. Of course, I'll be honest with you, JavaScript is a really nice visual system when it comes to coding. I really like JavaScript when it comes to that because it's not really that hard to make visuals. It's in the browser. However, I know JavaScript is not really a good language. Apparently, people really don't like JavaScript because of the web development trap. So I kind of like how easy it is to make visualizations and stuff like that. It's like Python, but it's a little more complex.
Yeah, I would like it if C++ one day added the ability to, I don't know, make a window, like draw rect, or fill rect. That seems useful. It's the year 2021. It would be kind of nice.
I think it's because, I remember you said this one time, it was because people want speed in the libraries, they don't want functionality.
That's part of it. The other part is which library do you implement, right? Because there's a number of competing standards for doing.
I think OpenGL probably.
I mean that's a big ask because remember C++ gets installed on supercomputers which don't even have graphics buffers, right?
Yeah.
And they get installed on embedded systems, your microwave. Do you install OpenGL?
They could do like a pip install system. Like I know Python has the Turtle library.
That's the thing. Yeah, you're exactly right. The biggest thing that everybody agrees is the problem, and nobody has a really good answer for right now, is a packaging system for C++. Because if we had a good packaging system, like if you wanted to get my read library installed on your thing, you could just be include, pip install read, and then you got it, And right now there's something called Conan for C++,
Yeah, I just posted my GitHub code if you want to go into more in depth in it.
but it's
It's
only
a
got
lot of HTML and CSS.
but it's only got 200 packages on it. Yeah, so there's Conan, and then there's Maven and CMake and all these other things that are attempting to address the problem with packaging and sharing code with other people. But that there's currently no guidance from the standards committee on that, and yeah, so that could make the limitations in this standard library less severe, because then you could just, okay, fine, you don't have a GUI, you just bloop, okay, now I've got a GUI. As it is, you have to.
Yeah, it's just the problem is that you can't get everyone on the same page. Because
Yeah.
I know a lot of people on the Linux side are like, oh, well, we use a different compiler instead of G++, stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, part of it. I mean, if
you
you're
have Windows where they have their own Visual Studio application, you have to worry about compiling in the terminal. And I know they have Visual Studio Code, which you do compile in the terminal, which you have to install kind of a little bit of Linux in your machine. Like, I know my machine has a little bit of Linux in it. I think
if your
make
standards
files
if your
like that.
standards conform it, the choice of compiler shouldn't matter. Occasionally there's a bug and it does matter, but it usually doesn't. The bigger issue is, like, if you're on Windows, you've got the Windows header files that don't exist on Linux, and so that's where these intermediate layers like SDL and SFML and MGUI and Qt come in, where you make calls to them, and then they were like, oh, I'm on Linux, and I'll do this. Oh, I'm on Windows, I'll do this. And but getting an ecosystem that actually works simply and cleanly and easily, that's the holy grail in C++ right now. Is like, that's what people are really,
especially C++.
really missing.
I wouldn't mind doing inner UI in C++. It's really fast.
Yeah.
The thing about Python, it's much more slower, but you have that simple syntax and the fact that you can kind of just build something out of nowhere. Like, for example, I remember I made this mod tone Andrews visualization. It took me like 30 minutes. It didn't take me like an hour, like a couple hours. Like it took me in C++. It's just like I have because that's the thing. Python is so simple though. It's like a simple language. You can't really screw up Python.
Yeah, I mean, the algorithm should be about the same as C++. Like,
Yeah, the thing is, the one, I remember I was looking at the one with the Wikipedia article, they use negative indexes. They're going backwards, and you can't really, because I remember I was talking to you about it, how I keep getting these memory issues. I was just trying to follow the algorithm I saw on Wikipedia, right? I was like, okay, this is how the algorithm works, let's just see if we can get it to work. And I ended up having all these memory issues.
Right.
And I finally fixed it later on, and because I was dumb.
Yeah,
it's stubborn.
In C++, you definitely want to be coding with address sanitizers on. So it basically gives you the same benefit that Python does, where it'll...
This is why I kind of like other languages, because it kind of fills in the gaps C++ doesn't have.
Yeah, well, yeah. There's ways of getting around it. Okay,
we're done with TetraJS. So if you guys want to play TetraJS, go ahead. It's kind of one of my passion projects for a while. I always want to make an actual Tetris game. Yeah, it's written in HTML and CSS. We're using Tailwind for the top HUD bar. You can go see the source code there. You can go to my YouTube channel. That's about it. But now for the big ticket item.
All right, let's do this.
This is the mod. And I worked my butt on this.
You worked your butt?
Yes. So, let's get started. I updated the mod to 1.17. Originally it was 1.16, so I had to completely remake how I did the generation code. Plus, I started on a fresh new slate entirely because I wanted to get food components in there. So let's go back down here. So we have probably cleaner code than I had before than last semester. Certainly, I actually had more items this time, like empty jars, pure sulfur still there. And I kind of remade this disk system where I have basically a little method right here to create disks and create disk items right here. Of course, I had to actually add my own custom item, which was the jelly system, where it actually lets you keep the item and it doesn't do that weird chomping noise that Minecraft does. It actually drinks it instead of doing that weird chomp sound like that sound effect. And of course, I had to re-add the ore block into it. Of course, this was about the same. And if we go back down, we actually add some new features here. We have the food items, which I'm really proud of. These are a couple food items I feel like Minecraft should have. As someone who's been playing Minecraft for a long time, I want to make a good mod that reflects on what I don't think. What can I say? things I think Minecraft should have, like more premium foods that like give you stat boosts instead of like, oh, you eat it, you survive kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I made some additional like sinks, like berry jelly is one of the things I made, which is a sink. Of course, I made some new decorative blocks. I got the tinted raw sulfur block. I removed a couple of blocks I made last semester because I felt like they were pretty ugly, and I finally had more time to make block models. Let's go back down here. I finally made a registry method to make my code a lot more efficient. So I can do the whole registry dot like whatever. It's like instead of this whole like chain of functions, I can just do just a single function. And then here is the big code right here. This is the new code for 1.17 for generation. Since Minecraft has been working on the generation code, they're actually trying to get blocks below y equals 0. So they want like -64. So the thing about 1.17, it was more of an intermediary between 1.16 and 1.18 where they had the negative block levels. So you had Deep Slate, which is the negative block stone, which I actually have it configured to replace the ore if it's in Deep Slate, which is something that's much harder to do, which is something I don't really see that much documentation for, which I've considered making tutorials on. And then down here we have our initialize function where we have the methods at work here, doing the whole initializing the item, then making a certain string that goes with them. So as we're done with the main part here, we made basically the food components. Plus you have the food components here, where you can like check the food components you made. I know I did that in my mod workshop, where I did the food components, which is something that people don't really cover. And I think music disc is one of the things that people really don't cover either. So it's basically me trying to backport the mod into GitHub, which this one finally commits to GitHub instead of like this weird file system I had. Then I got the JSON. Those are like, I remember I told you there's like over 80 JSONs in this mod. So I'm not sure. I'm gonna show the mod as soon as we get into the game, but I'm just trying to show off the code so you know the extent of how much work has been done. So this is the language JSON. This is what makes Minecraft translate these weird strings into actual text. So instead of like Cheems's tweaks dot music senpai, it's music disc, and I eventually says description music disc is senpai by Kawaii Sprite, and all these other music discs, which that's what basically the EN JSON's for.
Where did you find the musics?
They're actually from video games, so I don't think you'll get a copyright strike. The only one you probably get copyright strike on is the Jack and Mary one, which I remixed to be a little more based off the Gemini Home Entertainment ARG, which is something I enjoy. Because I know Minecraft always has that one spooky disc, like disc 11.
What is the copyright status of the music? Like, is it common?
It's ambiguous. You really can't. I know they're really okay with people using this music. I know the creators of Friday Night Funkin' are okay with people using their music because they have a really good modding community. Mm-hmm. Originally, I wanted to make a Friday Night Funkin' mod, but I couldn't get anyone to make music. So we go back down to here. We have our item.json. Remember I told you how Minecraft has like JSONs for everything, like modeling the thing in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But I got rid of one of these JSONs. You'll just see like one of those like Counter-Strike, purple mess.
Missing,
missing
Mm-hmm.
textures.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we do it for the block as well. Some blocks have different things. Like for example, tinted raw sulfur has a cube bottom and top where we have to set different textures. And then we have items have different textures as well.
Mm-hmm.
And this is every time I make an item, you have to make a JSON that goes with it because you have to show them this is how the hand model is going to look like. So it generates it based on the JSON. And of course, you have sounds, which is the one I showed you guys, which is the remix I made called Jack and Mary, based off the ARG. And I have some more textures, which I am very proud of. These are some of the best textures I've made. You'll see it in game.
Does VS Code not have the ability to display a PNG file?
I don't think so. Like right now, it's just having an error. Right now, I think it's because I'm using an older version of VS Code.
Yeah.
So we have the food items, which I don't know why it's showing an error. And I was gonna add particles, but push came to shove.
Are you connected to GitHub there on the left?
Yeah, it's connected to GitHub, so it automatically commits.
Nice.
And here's the advancements I've been working on. This is the big part. This is the big one I've been working on is advancements code. It's not really well documented, but we managed to get it working. So, like my favorite one's right here. Let me see, right here. Cave cocaine. And you have basically all these JSONs to set up. So let's go back into the game. I think it's better if I show you inside the game.
Okay.
So let me just go to here. We're in Minecraft, right? Good old-fashioned Minecraft. So if I go down here, go to search items, you can see all the new items I added to the game.
So the vinyl shards combine to make a vinyl disc.
Yep, actually, I'll show you how to make vinyl discs. You want me to do that? So basically, I got this idea from... Because there's one item in the game called Crying Obsidian, which is kind of useless. I thought, okay, black means vinyl, so let's make some vinyls out of it. So we're going to get our blast furnace out. And some charcoal. And you can smelt it down, and it'll smelt down to vinyl shards. Just simple crafting stuff too. So this is fully playable in vanilla Minecraft. Not vanilla Minecraft, but survival Minecraft. Because most mods are just kind of like, oh, we add an item, but it's only usable in like creative mode. This is actually fully usable. So if you actually smelt the vinyl shards again, you can actually get, which takes forever, a blank vinyl, which you can use to make your vinyl discs. So far, I had a couple here, so I reprised a couple from the original mod, and plus a new one I made with a remix, which I think Broken Play Guns is my favorite, which is by Quiet Sprite.
Can't hear it because you're not streaming the.
Oh. I'll just drop the music in the Discord.
It's fine.
So let's see. I have a couple ones here.
You just threw the disc.
Yeah, basically because you're in creative mode, dupes a disc, and yeah, we should be done right now. Takes forever. I want to balance it out because, for example, an item like this should probably take a lot more time to make than crafting table. So it takes forever to make. It takes a lot of fuel. And we got one of our first advancements, which is custom DJ.
Nice.
If you go here.
How many advancements did you have?
You have a couple advancements. I can think of a couple. Let's go. So if I actually place down a crafting table right now, let me just go here. This is how we start the whole cycle. Basically, when you get advancements, you have to start the whole entire tab with one single root advancement. So right here, it's a way of telling my mods aren't working. Right here, if I go to my advancements, it says something's off. And then if I wanted to, let's go get some sulfur. Let's go get some sulfur, actually. So I go down here. It generates in the world. I just generated this world a couple minutes ago. So use torches. So it should be generating down here. Pretty sure it's generating down here. Actually, I should probably use a command to get rid of all this stone. 1 second. Command. There you go. Make my life a million times easier. And this just gives you a little stone so we can see the ore better. So there's a lot of new ores in 1.17. They basically revamped the ore system. My ore is a little bit more rare, but there it is. This is the actual sulfur right here.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Minecraft should have more ores like sulfur.
Mm-hmm.
So go here, just get myself pickaxe.
Have you thought about applying to work at Mojang?
Yeah, I'm not working at Mojang.
No?
I like Mojang, I just can't. I don't think I'll get along with some developers. I think I'll probably get into a fight with Jeb a couple times because I kind of like Notch. I'm more of a Notch guy. Not really much of a Jeb guy. So yeah, you can actually mine it. You can actually get experience and the item, which plus you get your first advancement, which is a joke based off a TV show called The Critic. And we have another one right here, which is the Deep Slate variant, which it generates only around Deep Slate, which is at the bottom of the world, which is something I had to add some extra code for. And it generates pretty frequently. It's actually kind of an easy ore to get. But the real use behind sulfur is making gunpowder.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how you make gunpowder? So I basically searched this up chemically. You're supposed to use like some sort of like sulfur to make gunpowder. So if I go here, crafting.
Was it saltpeter, sulfur, and something else?
Yeah,
to make gunpowder?
yeah. So I basically used bone meal, coal, and raw sulfur. This will make your first couple of bits of sulfur. But if you use refined sulfur, which you make by simply smelting sulfur down, so firm coal. And keep in mind, my mod's pretty good, I think, for first time making an actual mod.
Have you released it on Nexus mods?
I actually want to release it on CurseForge because Nexus doesn't really support Minecraft that well.
Gotcha.
So if we smelt it down, we'll get pure sulfur, which looks more like, it looks more like actual sulfur, I guess. And we can actually make gunpowder by getting bone meal. But this one will give you a multiplier because you basically already smelted it down, making it more pure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gives you a multiplying effect. You can make 4 instead of 1 gunpowder.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, there's other advancements. For example, let me just get a couple of them going right now. It's based on if you have it in your inventory. So there's an advancement for getting the actual block of sulfur, which is you make by combining sulfur. So for example, I put this in a crafting table, combine sulfur together. See a block of sulfur. It's a really good decorative block, I think.
Some sticky sulfur.
Yeah, it's a general joke about sulfur, it being stinky.
Mm-hmm.
So you go here. You can actually smelt down sulfur into a more. I like to call this the more cooler sulfur, basically. Where you have tinted sulfur, which looks much more like you would see sulfur in real life, where it's tinted. It's that thing on the bottom with the blue substance. Originally, this is something that I wanted to get in the mod, where if you basically light this on fire, you get a blue flame because sulfur blue flame. That's more of a limitation of Fabric as an API, because you can't do that much with Fabric as much as Forge is. Forge is much more intense on the hardware than Fabric.
Mm-hmm.
Fabric is much more lighter and can get updated quicker. So that's one of the things you can do. Plus, it goes really well with the regular sulfur. Looks pretty nice.
Yeah, it looks really good to me, dude.
Yeah, I'm still not done yet, though.
Okay.
There's more. I have more. No
well, we got 2 more people that have to go. So
okay, but
you got 2 minutes left.
There you go. We have a bunch of advancements. You got strange red powder. Well, I like to call it cave cocaine. And you can drink it. You get buffs. A lot of buffs. Plus you get your jar back, which is kind of weird because if you eat something in Minecraft, like for example a beetroot soup,
you don't get the bowl.
You're literally eating the bowl, which is something I don't like about beetroots. But you shouldn't be eating the bowl.
Well, that's what happens after you do the cocaine, I guess.
Yeah, which gives you some buffs. So if I go here, inventory, should show the buffs, but you go in survival mode, I guess. Game mode, survival. So if I eat one of these items, it gives you buffs. Like for example, gives me more hearts. Amps of potato. It'll make you mine faster with extra defense. Plus you get night vision. So,
okay. Nice.
And keep in mind, these items are quite expensive to make. If I can go into the crafting recipes, they're very expensive to make. I know you don't want to go into it, but I basically made a pretty large mod.
Mm-hmm.
Although there's a couple things I would want to add, like mobs, but they're very hard to add. But, just some general stuff I think Minecraft should have. And plus I expanded upon it by adding, advancements and making it just a general better experience than it was before.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I thought you wanted from the mod. So
looks good. Looks really good.
Okay.
All right. Well done. All right, everyone. Big round of applause for Riddencourt. Thanks, sir. Well done, sir. All right, Selkie, you are up next.
I think I'll release the jar file in a couple minutes. If you guys want to actually put it into Fabric, you can.
Selkie left. He wasn't here earlier. He's like, "Can I go now? I'm hungry." I'm like, "You weren't here earlier. We went through every person in 50A." All right. So I guess Aaron, you're up. And Selkie will probably come right back once you start presenting. Okay, let me unmute you and take it away, Aaron.
Okay. So let me share my screen real quick. Okay. So. Okay, so oh shoot, what the heck? Let me see if you can see my entire screen, and then we'll go on from there. Can you see my entire screen, by the way? You should, I hope you guys see my entire screen.
Yep.
So I'm kind of nervous. I am really nervous
Why? What are you nervous about?
Because like I don't know, I'm just nervous. I'm kind of like just nervous about presenting my mod, but I'm really excited though to show you my game here. So I created a game called Radiant, right? It's a GUI graphical user interface. The story behind it is have you played a game called Divinity Eagle Dragoness? I kind of built this game kind of based off of the gameplay when you arrive in Farglow. Because what happens is the dialogue shows is that you are kind of like a dragon slayer, soon to be initiative who starts off at a town, but the only difference is I changed the story by a lot. So that's what the Radiant storyline kind of revolves around, and I'll show you how the gameplay goes. And you guys don't see the start button, but you kind of have to click right here to get to the start. So the whole gameplay is that you have three choices. You can touch as a guard, or if you want, you can attack the guard, but it won't really do anything. So when you attack the guard is just gonna tell you can't attack him, you know. And then what happens is when you leave the entrance, you'll have 4 directions, and town gate. So when you leave entrance, town gate lets you go back to the guard, and so there's a few things in here that I kind of did, which is kind of cheating the game. Where if you go to North, you get to heal, but I didn't set up a bounds check for that because at the time I was just like, I just want to make this simple. So
Yep.
so if you want, you could really spam the heck out of this thing, and like and like you could just get 410, but 410 is not enough. Because like if you have a knife, you can still die when you get to the west direction, and I'll show you why.
Okay.
So if you go east, I got lucky. Because this is all random generated. So this is all random number generated. So I got lucky. I got an axe,
All right.
and our axe does a lot of damage. So a spider can kill you if you have 400 health. Whatchamacallit, if we go to the monster spider, yeah, it has 80 health, and but the damage is a lot. So like if we go back, let me go back to my interface, it like
1 point of damage, huh? All right.
Oh yeah, I forgot to add that in. So I built a system where I added a critical damage. I added some armor, so when a spider attacks, you get like a 10 out of I don't know, you get out of a certain amount of chances to either dodge, block the damage, or take a full hit. So I built a point system to kind of handle that, just so that at least when it comes to the spider, or a troll, or a goblin, because those are the 3 creatures that you can stumble upon on this path, it looks balanced, so that it doesn't feel like, oh shoot, I died, but that's kind of cheating. So that's why there's no guarantee. So so if you keep attacking, sometimes I'll do that. And the health point for this, I was having a trouble time trying to figure out how to have the health bar appear for the spider. So that's kind of another feature I'm gonna try to debug a little bit more. So if you keep doing this, I died. That's another thing. You don't know if you're actually winning. That's why I have to re-implement that a little bit. But if we go to here, let me just do this, and then let me at least. Shit, I'm gonna die. Okay, there we go. Let me just get this. Damn, I died again. Oh my god. Okay. Let me just get this. Cause I'm. So what happens is if you get a longsword, you get a goblin. What happens is there you go. Okay. So what happens is when you kill a goblin, you get a loot, and the loot you get is a silver ring. And I kind of went too fast on that. So yeah, you get a silver ring, and what happens is now you can talk to the guard. And so what happens is, what happens is that it goes through a whole dialogue. You go into a town. Now you can go through like some quest, and then when it goes to a quest, now you enter a new chapter, which hence I call this checkpoint updated, just to let me. This is kind of like more of a debugging point as well, just to let me know this works. So that's why I kind of had that in. And so, you want to go to the right, you investigate, you could go to the left doesn't work yet, but if you go to the right, you can keep moving, keep going, and you eventually come across an ogre. Now this is where I introduce new creatures into the game. Now ogres are kind of complex in this game, I guess. Like in the ogres, I try to implement more balanced out, because now by this point I wanted to add in armor, point systems, and then I also wanted to work on leveling up, like the player experience. That's why I kind of wanted to add, but I didn't really have enough time. So you get longsword, and then he has a one-handed axe, because that's supposed to represent that he's kind of like the boss, I guess is how I put it. So once you defeat the ogre, you get a thief knife, and so you can continue, but when you go back to the merchant, I believe, you could basically that's kind of like the entire game, is that you go through a bunch of quests and you kind of like embark on a little journey to like explore the world. But I haven't make it really open world, so it's like really like you could tell like you can go straight to one path and finish the game. So that's technically what the game is for that point, for that part. And now for the code, it's in Java as well. So what I have is I have a few file systems set up. So I have a game setup file. What this does is it's a UI, it's a user interface. It handles all the user interfaces. So this entire class deals with a window, which I use a Java frame for. It has panels. The panels are kind of like what helps with, like, for example, I have a title panel here. What this does is this helps with, like, we have like the name, fonts. Then we have like we have like the decision panels here. And then I recently just added these widgets just because the fact that if you look at it, it's all kind of repeated, and so that was one of the things I didn't want to look at. So I just create functions for them. So like in the future, I can look at these individually, and maybe if I want to improve it, then I can. So that's what I did for the user interface, and the main kind of just helps with handling selection position. So with a selection position, what I did was I have one for I think this one for the storyboarding part, and one is for the in the town. So this one handles the decisions you make while you're in the town, and this one will help make the decisions when you go out into the world. So the reason why I did that is because I didn't want to be reliant on this one, and I think I should have, because then I kind of just copy and pasted it. But at the time, I wanted to kind of organize things so I know where everything's at. So that's another reason why the naming convention is really bad, and I have like really obvious code here. And before I go into any of the creatures and the player systems, now let's go into the storyline. Now this one I really thought about, because I was really wondering, how the heck am I going to do this? How in the heck am I going to do this? Because I first created this game. Let me remind you, I first created this game in my second semester of programming as well. So I was doing update where I took my first semester in Java, and so literally that's why this kind of looks very basic. So what happens is that the storyline file handles chapter 1. Chapter 1 is just like a basic introductory to the world. So with that in mind, what I did was I wanted this to just be like more of an introductory. So it's like you start out fighting ogres, trolls, and their bosses. You start out in a world where it's kind of chaotic, and you have to save a town first. And then once you save that town, then my actual idea was that I was gonna make a dialogue that says a strange woman is walking near you. And so from that point on, from that stories and on, this is where the open world kind of comes in, where okay, so depending on the decisions you make, you will either make the wrong decision or the bad decision. And then this is where I was kind of like thinking about applying probability, because after you taught us probability, I thought maybe this is where I could probably add that in. So it kind of like gives the player a fair chance to like make a bad decision, a good decision. But if he makes a bad decision, what if that bad decision was actually a good decision in the long run? Because like let's say he saved a girl who later on became a villain, but then because of that villain, he got to meet a lot of people all along the way, or just kind of like just some long-term stuff.
Yeah, but none of that's really in the game right now. It's just your original idea. So
yeah, this is.
I would let me cut you off there. The thing I would have probably tweaked a bit is I would probably not make it required to do that exploit to beat the first monster. Your combat system seems like the monsters are hitting you for like 40 and you're hitting the monsters for like 6. Even if you get lucky and you get an axe. I would have probably iterated over that a few times so that the player would feel balanced against monsters. Like right now, like even like a weak monster like a spider is like an order of magnitude stronger than you are, and the only way you can survive it is by doing exploit, right? Like if you hadn't even taken yourself up to 400 health, you would have had absolutely no chance whatsoever to beat that spider. So I think it's important to always pay attention to the numbers in a game. And probability theory is interesting, but you might want to sort of look at the expected outcomes. And sure, you can have variance, which makes the game interesting and makes people kind of sit on their seats. But right now, the averages are so far apart between player damage and player health and monster health that I don't think it feels very good. So
that would make sense, because if we go to like oh my gosh, okay, right here. So if we go to like a random generator, I literally just created a variable called monster damage that's like a random number generator that kind of like randomize a number from 0 to the monster attack. And in this case, since we're doing an ogre, we go to ogres, we would be doing from 0 to 65 in this case. So that's kind of like why it kind of seems unbalanced, is because I first started out with a random generator because I wanted to see how the game would react, and so that's why I have a random generator. But I will keep that in mind, because I want to make this a little bit more balanced, to where it doesn't feel like the player really doesn't have a chance against an ogre. Because like you saw, I died twice from a spider, and I had an axe, and an axe is pretty much the strongest weapon.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Is it like a random? For one thing, the attack of what's the attack on the axe? Like 6 or 8 or 10 or something like that?
The axe. Let me go to the axe is actually going to be the the axe is going to be weapons right here. Two-handed axe. We're going to get like a
0 to 60. Okay.
Yeah, it's a random number generator.
What's the damage on a knife and the longsword?
Longsword, I did 35, and then a knife would be like a 30.
Yeah. So the knife, like and then click on like the goblin.
Yeah, the goblin right here. Yeah, the goblin. Yeah.
And their attack is 6. Yeah. So a goblin is twice as strong as the player who has absolutely, like the weakest monster versus the weakest player.
Yeah.
It's on average going to be doing twice as much as the player. And so the distribution you use, where you randomly roll from minimum to maximum, it's sometimes used in video games. It's not that often used because it feels very, very swingy, and like in Final Fantasy Tactics, the axes actually have that damage system where they have a very wide range. The expected value is higher, but the downside is it's much less predictable. Sometimes you do a ton of damage, sometimes you tick them for 1. And so most players and most video games prefer having something instead like a D8 plus 10 or something like that, right? Where you roll a random number and you have a positive modifier on it. And that feels, it's still random, so sometimes you can get lucky or get unlucky, but there's a consistent plus 10 on there every time that
like a plus 10 damage to like kind of like balance out like when you get when you do damage with like that specific weapon, pretty much.
Yeah, like in Dungeons and Dragons, right? A weapon does a D8 for a longsword, right? So that's a 1 to 8 damage. But there's going to be a modifier on top of that. So if you have a strength of 18, you do D8 plus 4. So rather than 1 to 8, you do 5 to 12, and that feels better. And then if you put on a belt of giant strength or something like that, then like if you have a belt that takes up to 30 strength, then you do a D8 plus 10 instead, and that feels a lot better than
because you're taking into account like the stats as well, like the
stats
like the
of the player.
strengths and or like if they or like for example if they were like a wizard, then you would take into account like their mana or like the from the how many spells they can use when they have like a certain weapon.
Yeah, but it's not. Part of it is having stats matter. Actually, is a really important part of game design. Nobody likes a game where like you can just completely neglect some stat, which in Dungeons and Dragons is typically charisma. For anybody who's not a charisma caster or a charisma user, like charisma is a dump stat. No, what I'm getting at though is that when you do that, if you look at the distribution, if you just do a flat uniform distribution, that's usually not very fun. So flat uniform distributions are not fun from a game design perspective, whereas something that has a randomness but also just a plus 10 that slides. So like you could like if you do a D8 plus 5, that's 5 to 13 damage. On average, it's 9. That's better than rolling from 1 to 18, or 1 to 17. Because even though they have the same expected value, 1 to 17 means sometimes you go up and you hit a monster and you do 1 damage, and that it's a feel bad moment. So it's better to have your lowest be like 5 instead of 1. Because it gets very frustrating. If you've ever played games like XCOM and things like that, like you'll know how often you get a poor roll, and it just feels bad. Yeah. So that's my criticism, really.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then like getting 1 can change the entire tide of the fight as well. Yeah. And then the ogre does more damage. Like you saw, I died twice because of the type of damage I was doing to the spider, and the spider has like. Out of the out of all the creatures, spider has the most, So,
and you weren't like you never came close to doing 60 damage. Like with your axe, you're always doing like 1 damage, 2 damage, 6 damage, 5 damage. So it might be your random number generator is broken for the axe. I don't know, because
it is. I'm gonna be honest. It is. The random generator is kind of broken. So I have to like whatchamacallit, fix that.
Okay.
Because I was testing it out yesterday too, and I was like, oh, it's broken. But then I had some parts of the program that I had to also fix to see if it'll work, and then work on that too.
Okay.
So there's some things I still have to work on.
All right. Well, that's
and then So,
that's it for this semester. So thank you, Aaron. Well done, everybody. Thank you for coming out. Thanks for doing game development. I've asked the dean to see if we can put together like an independent study thing. I think Bedencourt or Duncan was asking about that. About doing like an independent study. So we'll see if we can put something together for you. So you could do like a semester-long project, making a game or something like that, which I think would be pretty fun. Maybe even Bell would come out of retirement for that. I don't know. So that could be fun. And we're going to be trying to get we're trying to get set up in our school with we're getting a data center, and so. We'll try to put some sort of file share locally on campus, maybe at the district office, where you'll be able to have your projects there. And we're really going to try and work on that Perforce, get LFS thing, trying to make it easier to have students share their projects with each other, because as you saw this semester, it's just difficult. And I got it working myself, but I didn't like it. Like the whole system needs just a big coat of polish on it to make it nice and things like that. Unreal Engine 5 is going to help with that, which is, I think, pushing me more towards moving towards UE5 earlier rather than later, just because sharing projects is such an important part of this class that it'll help. You're going to be in the Central Valley for the next year and a half, so yeah, I'll let you guys know about the. I'll post on Discord when I hear back about the independent project from the dean. But otherwise, thank you all for a great semester. Wish you all the best in life. Stay in touch. Stay on the Discord server. We don't kick you off after you finish classes here. You're more than welcome to stay and stuff.
I have a question about the mod. Am I able to still show my mod? Because I was going to show that after mine.
Oh yeah, I got to be somewhere at 4, so show it fast.
Oh. Okay. Well, it's just gonna be quick.
Go for it.
So, I just want to show that I got some parts of it done.
Mm-hmm.
Like what you mentioned was the monster. I was trying to. Let's see. Okay. Let me just do that. Let me go here. Let me go. Oh shoot! I didn't get to do So with the code, what I did was what I tried doing, I should say, is that when I tried to mod the code base, I was trying to figure out how was I going to render the graphics, and based on what you were telling me when I messaged you,
mm-hmm.
I just went into the map. I added like an M somewhere. Maybe I'll add like an M here too, to kind of show like that it works. I add these in, and then I have a variable here that lets us know if we hit a monster or not. And so the thing about this that I was trying to figure out is that I was trying to make it appear like how the walls were appearing, but I was trying to figure out like how does that work. Like I was seeing how the wall was working, and so I kind of did some testing before I presented.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what it looks like. So so this is what it looks like. It looks like this. I changed the colors a bit because I wanted to see how it was going to react, and I was doing a lot of testing with it, and
mm-hmm.
so like if we go here, there we go. Go here. I actually like the color green. It looks really nice.
Okay.
When I come across a monster. Okay, that scared me for a second. So when I come across a monster, what's supposed to happen is that it's supposed to there you go, do that. When you come across a monster, you basically get killed by it, or like you kill the monster, I guess. It's kind of like how I put it, that it was kind of like a hide and seek, because then I couldn't figure out how to honestly figure out how to render it. But I did try to using this if statement, but that was as far as I was able to get in the mod. So,
Well, what you need to do is inside of the 2D array for the world, put the monster on there, and then when you do the trace lines, because the way the rendering works is it shoots a trace line for each column on the screen, and when it hits a wall, the height of the wall drawn is based on how close it is. Something very close is drawn as a very tall column, and something far away is drawn as a very small column with the ceiling and floor instead.
Right.
And so for what you have to do is say if the trace line hits a monster instead of a wall, you draw, the monster there or something like that. So.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot. That makes a lot more sense. This part was kind of confusing. I was like, what's the equation on this, or what's the formula for this, so I can get a better idea on like how this is.
So
being calculated.
what it's doing is that it's passing the x and the y location of the player, it's passing the direction you're looking, and it's passing the map, and it's going to return the distance to the nearest wall, and so the thing is like that's not going to tell you if you hit a wall or if you hit a monster, and so you could probably have it return two things. You'd have a color reference parameter to return like a boolean, did I hit a monster or not, or an int by reference that I hit this kind of monster, and then you could render the monster on top of the thing, and then you can have actually the monsters move around. You'll see them walk around in the level and things like that. This is like a Doom style renderer, so there's no vertical element or anything like that. It's actually more of a Wolfenstein style renderer, except it doesn't require.
Yeah, I saw that in your old lecture, Spring 2021. I was watching that, and I noticed you guys were talking about Wolfenstein, and I saw the gameplay you were showing about how you guys had about how when you were going back or forward, it was rendering to look smaller and bigger because of how, depending on the distance from the wall, like how far you were, it was going to decide if the graphics was going to be smaller or bigger.
Right.
That's what I was trying to think about for the monster. But when I looked at the trace line function, I was trying to figure out what's the formula that's being calculated with this input.
So this is Wolfenstein 3D here on my screen, and so you can see that the walls that are further away, they have a small. They're small. Things that are closer are bigger. And so what the renderer does is just shoots a trace line for each column on the screen to figure out how far away the wall is at that point, and that gives you that nice perspective like that. And then if you shoot a line and you hit a monster, you blit a sprite on top of the screen there. And we don't have any blitting functions or sprites or anything like that. You just would have to do something to draw a monster there. I don't know. And
That was the part I was kind of like wondering. I was like, you guys don't have a. Yeah.
Your functions, Aaron, are to draw a pixel on the screen with a certain color. That's it. There's no blitting, which is a fast way of copying a 2D image on the screen. We have none of that. We have no draw line function. We have no draw rectangle function. None of that exists. All you have with this interface is move the cursor to a certain point and draw a color there. That's it. That's as low level interface as you have. So yeah. If that goes through with the dean that you mentioned, I want this to be a semester project. Sure. It'd be fun. I said, that Doom thing I hacked together in just 2 hours, and some of it was just talking with students and things like that. So it's really not like a masterpiece of code or anything like that. It was just like something we just kind of hacked together real fast. But the fact that it works and you can walk around inside of the level and see stuff is kind of cool. But it's 4 o'clock. I got a jet. Well done, and good job to everybody. I'm proud of you all. And some of you I'll see next semester. Other ones that are graduating, I wish you the best of luck and all the best in life. So, peace out, everybody. This is Bill Kearney signing off.